Welcome back to DUBBZI Bricks for another episode of building the Tantive in Lego. In the last update, we worked on the side panel of the vessel here. Got that curved slope all in place. Made some amendments to the bottom here with the Technic structure and also started this section across. Now, I would love to get that part there done. However, before I can do that, I need to work where those wires are, get that all built up and completed. I do need to reattach the slope that goes on the top of there as well. When I was working on that, I wasn't happy with the way it was connected previously, so I just need to find a new way of connecting it all in place, get some additional strength in there. Now, also in the last update, we started working on the reverse side of here. We put the panel on the bottom just there. We've put the red stripes on, but I can now actually get the tiling all done on this part here, get all the greebling put on the side, put the escape pods on the top. The escape pods on the bottom, I would like to get those in place as well. However, I'm not sure if I've got all the parts for it, so I'm going to need to have a look into that. But in the last order we received, we did get the white curved slopes for the escape pods. So I do want to do some more work on the escape pods, these two just here. If I've got all of the pieces, it would be good to get them replicated for the other side. And I've just got to decide whether or not I want to have them removable on the other side. There's no necessity whatsoever to have them removable, but it might just be a little bit easier build wise because I'm not going to be pushing down on the panel just here. He should have enough strength, but I don't want to take any chances. Basically, I'd sooner play it safe, and if I can just rest him in there, that would be better. Anyway, without further ado, let's rotate this ship round, get the tiles out, and let's make a start on getting that all tiled. And I was just about to start building, and I thought I would answer a question that I've been asked so many times throughout this build series, and that is, how much does this behemoth of a build weigh? And it is quite a lot. I brought the bathroom scales in here this morning, stood on the scales, and then I weighed myself, holding the Lego, subtracted one number from the other, and we got the weight of it. Now, bearing in mind the UCS Millennium Falcon weighs 13.2 kilos. This section here in front of us at the present weighs 12.8 kilos. So it's almost the same weight as the UCS Millennium Falcon. The cockpit section here at present is coming in at 10.7 kilos. The corridor section, which goes behind this one, which has got where Vader and the Stormtroopers first board the Tantive, that's coming in at 10.4 kilos. But the engine section just down the end here, and bearing in mind, we've still got to build the entire top section, plus also put all of the hull on the engines as well. There's so much more building to go on there. That already comes in at a massive 24.7 kilos. So we're talking in the region of about 58.6 kilos, or if you're in stone, it's over 9 stone. About 9 stone 2, I think it is. So yeah, this is a massively heavy beast of a ship already, and we're probably about halfway through the build, so it is going to be a lot heavier by the time we finished. And we've stripped back the side paneling on here just to add some additional strength to the Technic beams before I start the tiling. And the reason being is there was a couple of points where it just didn't feel strong enough to me. So we've now resolved that problem. And I'm putting the cut plates on here. And then again, that's just so I can go a little bit deeper with the escape pod so that it can connect onto here. The escape pods will not have the engines on there. However, I do want them removable so that it's easier for transporting. What I'll probably do is tile this off, put one level of plates on the bottom of this escape pod, which will then be sitting on the tiles. Because this will be one plate higher, that will then stop it moving about. I will also have something attached to the bottom of the escape pod, which goes down into this hole just here. And then that way, if there is a sudden jolt on the model for whatever reason, if it gets knocked, the escape pod won't just fall off. With it just being one plate lower connecting onto here, I don't think that would be sufficient in case there was a problem. So yeah, we'll just add that just as a little bit of extra precaution. So let's carry on plating this off and get it all tiled over. And there we have another section all tiled off, and the tiling is so satisfying. Seeing all of the filler plate and filler brick all covered over, it's just the best feeling. And I've still got to do the greebling on here, the finer details, and I look forward to doing that a little bit later on. But the next thing I'm going to be doing is tackling this section here. Now on the opposite side, it is a removable panel, and I have got it so certain parts of it are indented. There's one bit that's quite a bit indented on there, which has got some pipe work on. I'm not going to be doing a mirror image of the other side. It's going to have its own details. The grey panels which are indented on there, they are going to be replicated on here. I want it to be symmetrical on that side of things, but the other details will be a little bit different. Then once I've done that, what I'll be turning my attention to is this panel at the bottom here, as I put it on in the wrong place. It's one stud out, so I just need to amend that. So let's peel this panel off on the top and get that all sorted. And that's our top panel all in place with a fair bit of greebling added to it. Still a few more bits of details I wish to add to all of this. But now we've got that top section sorted out, let's turn our attention back to this lower panel and get that put in the correct place. And there we have the bottom panel all in place, and it was quite simple to get done. The good thing with the holes here for the escape pods, I can put my fingers in there and squeeze the bricks together. So that worked out very well, as indeed on that part of it. Now, I was going to try and find the pieces out for the escape pods and get those all put in position. However, the problem I think I'm going to have with those is I don't know how far down the escape pod's going to sit until I've got the removable ones put in. So I'm going to have to wait until I've done that. What I will do though is try and work out what pieces I'm going to need for these 4 escape pods. Then I can get them ordered in and get that all sorted. But I'm pretty confident I've got all the pieces to do the top escape pods. So I think I'll do those next. Then after that, we'll start work on the greebling on the side here. We have our last 2 escape pods all made up, and much happier with this new design on the gun on the very top of it. So put a lot more detail on here, and I've used the curved slopes that I purchased in the last update, so they've come in really handy. Unfortunately, I've only ordered 8. What I was originally going to do was have it, so I was just using a 2x2 curved slope on it, so it was squared off at the front. But I think it looks better having all 4 on there. I just think it looks nicer than the disc, because you have got the stud on the top. Now on the door here, we've now got this piece here, which is actually attached to the axle, so it's not loose. So when you turn the knob on the front here, it does actually rotate it regardless. The previous design was very loose and it didn't always turn. Now on the bottom of this one here, we have got this lift arm here, and this just folds out, and once it's folded out, that will stop the escape pod from sliding off of the top of the Tantive. So really happy with that little design that we have going on there. Now these are all quite fragile, so I've got to be very careful with them. As you can see, that panel has already fallen off there, but once it's all in place, it's absolutely fine. Now these 2 here do not have interiors, as there's no point wasting the bricks doing it. I'm never going to be showing people the inside of these 2. It's just the other 2 that have got the interior, where I'm going to be displaying them with either the hatch open or possibly even with the top off of the actual escape pod itself. So what I need to do now is just amend this escape pod and the other one so they look the same as this. This part here is also lower as well. This is 2 plates higher up, so again is something else that I need to amend. If I do it this design, I won't be able to have this as removable, as I need the bricks to be built in to that section just there. And there we have the 2 escape pods on the top of the vessel there, and it's amazing how much difference the new style escape pod makes. Just the little details on the guns, I think, or the cannon, sorry, I think just to add that little bit more to it, but also lowering the tiles down as well. It's all those little things, the white pieces instead of the miscoloured grey ones, from when we were prototyping really, but all of these things really do add up to the overall look of the ship. So really pleased with how they've come out. So I just need to change the other side over to that. And next up, it's one of my favourite parts of Lego building. That's doing the greebling on the side of the ship here. So I've just been through all my dark bluish grey parts and found out bits I think are going to be useful. Same with the light bluish grey as well. I've got a mixture of pieces there. So really looking forward to getting this part all detailed up. And there we have it, the greeblings all completed along the side of the ship, and it's enjoyable doing it. It's very relaxing, I find. But yeah, we've got plenty more greebling to put all over the vessel. And just looking at different options and ways that we can cover the panel up at the top here. And the biggest problem I'm having is getting everything flush with the top of that. I can't just tile straight on the top there as it's going uphill. I could put a plate on the very top here and then tile over the top of it. That is one option. But then again, we still got this slight gap where it's going downhill and then up. And also you can see the darkness through there. I could put a cheese wedge in there, which does cover it up very slightly. The other option is to put a plate, then a bracket, and then one of the panels on there. And then that just overlaps it very slightly. So I just think that's a little bit tidier on there. Yes, you can still see through, but I do think that's probably the best option out of all of them that we come up with so far. So I think that's the way that I'm going to go, providing I can find enough of these white brackets out on there. With the studs that are exposed on the top, I might put some greebling on there. There are a couple of raised areas along the top, so it might not look that bad anyway. The only other pieces that I did consider, but again, they didn't look quite right, were like using rail pieces. We've got this one here, but that does pretty much the same job as a 2x tile. And then you've got the one that's a little bit narrower, which is this one just here. But again, it's just not doing the job. It's something about it, it's just not looking quite right. But I'll carry on experimenting and see if there are any other options available. But if not, we'll just use the bracket and panel option because I'm quite happy with that one. There we have the top all ready for the greebling, and I've built along here as well. Previously it only came to about here, so that's all good to go now. And I've just put a couple of tiles down. I've still got to work out what I want to do on the very top section of this. I've got a couple of different images and they are pretty similar in the style of what needs to go on here, so I don't think I'm going to have any trouble filling this space out. Now this section at the back here, I'm not going to bother building this up just yet. I'm going to wait until I built or finished doing the section that goes behind here, which has got the corridors and the area where Vader boards the Tantive, so we'll worry about that later on. So let's get all of the little small pieces out. Let's get this top section all greebled off. And there we have the greebling done on the top of the build there, and really happy with how it's come out. The only thing that I'm not 100% sold on are all of these studs along the side. Now I've attached the panels on the side here using this sort of bracket here. Now I could have used one of these ones just here and then tiled over the top of it. What it would have meant was this entire section down the centre here would have been a fraction lower than this part here, which would have possibly looked a little bit tidier. The only problem with that though, it would have meant though the panel here, these L-shaped panels, they would have been a half a plate higher up. So that gap along here would have been even bigger than what it already is at the moment. So that's the reason I haven't gone for that. Whether or not I look at changing that in the future, I don't know. It's just one of those things. I'll just see what I think over time. Again, it's one of these things, it's very, very easy for me to just sort of like strip the greebling off and redo it. The panels on the side, on the top here, again, it is something that's quite quick to swap over should I want to do so. Now one other thing I did have to do on here was I had to redo this part here just very slightly. I was overstepped by one stud on the end here, so I had to push it back that way. It was just a case of breaking the wedge plates off and then putting a different size plate between the wedge plate and that end, but now it is all lined up. I do still need to do some tiling and details along the bottom here, but all in all, it's so nice seeing another part of the ship all covered over with the greebling and tiles. Anyway, that's all we have time for. Hope you enjoyed the update. If you have, please remember to give us a big thumbs up. If you're watching this on a mobile, if you could hit that hype button, it would be much appreciated. This does help others to find the channel. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content on the channel. And if you know anybody else you think would be interested in building the Tantive in Lego, if you could share the channel with them, it'd be much appreciated. Anyway, thanks for popping on by, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.